Welcome to the most embarrassing moments in NHL history. Almost everyone can agree that the shootout can be a controversial way to end a game. While some fans love the excitement and tension that it brings, others believe that a skills competition shouldn't be the deciding factor in a game. Regardless of your stance on the shootout, there's no denying that it has provided us with some truly memorable moments, both good and bad. In this video, we'll be revisiting some of the most embarrassing moments in NHL history, including missed shootout attempts and costly mistakes that cost teams the game. We'll also take a trip back in time to 1979 when the Montreal Canadiens faced off against the Boston Bruins in a heated Game 7 matchup. But first, let's start with some of the most cringe-worthy shootout moments. One that stands out is Devin Setoguchi's miss and flop. In a game against the Chicago Blackhawks, Setoguchi skated in on a shootout attempt and attempted a deke only to completely lose his balance and fall on the ice. The Blackhawks went on to win the game, much to the embarrassment of Setoguchi and the San Jose Sharks. Another memorable moment is Patrick Eaves' stumble and fall. Eaves skated in on the shootout attempt, faked out the goaltender, and then completely lost his balance and fell over onto the ice. He never even got the shot off, and his team, the Dallas Stars, ended up losing the game. Eaves later spoke out about the embarrassment he felt after the miss, calling it one of the worst feelings you can have on the ice. Now, let's take a trip back to 1979, when the Montreal Canadiens faced off against the Boston Bruins in a decisive Game 7 matchup. This was an important year for the Canadiens, as they were looking to win their fourth Stanley Cup in a row and establish a dynasty. The Bruins, on the other hand, were hoping to get revenge against their rival team after losing the Stanley Cup Finals in both '77 and 1978. The rivalry between the Canadiens and the Bruins was intense, with both teams at their peak of their powers. The Bruins had recently formed their infamous Lunch Pail Gang and were looking to finally get the upper hand against their rival. The series was tightly contested, with the Canadiens winning Games 1 and 2 and the Bruins clawing their way back to force a decisive Game 7. In the third period of the game, the Bruins took a 3-1 lead and it looked like they were on their way to victory. However, 2 goals by Mark Napier and Guy Lafleur tied the game at 3-3. The Bruins retook the lead, but with just over 2 minutes remaining in the third period, they were caught with too many men on the ice and were given a penalty. The Canadiens wasted no time and set out their top power play players, including Lafleur. With just over a minute left in the game, Lafleur received a pass at the top of the circle and buried the tying goal, sending the game into overtime. The Canadiens went on to win the game and the Stanley Cup, while the Bruins were left to rue their costly mistake. After the game, Bruins coach Don Cherry lamented the missed opportunity, saying, "We had them right where we wanted them. All we had to do was stay out of the penalty box." Those are just a few examples of the most embarrassing moments in NHL history. From missed shootout attempts to costly mistakes that cost teams the game, the NHL has seen it all. But it's not just the shootouts that have provided us with embarrassing moments. There have been numerous instances of players accidentally shooting the puck into their own nets, own goals, and other mistakes that have caused embarrassment and frustration for players and teams. For example, there was a time when the New York Rangers' Dan Girardi accidentally shot the puck into his own net while trying to clear it out of the defensive zone. The Rangers ended up losing the game, and Girardi was left to face the music and explain the mishap to reporters. "I just tried to make a play and kind of hit it off my blade and it went into the net," Girardi said. "It's a tough break and it's a tough pill to swallow." Own goals can be incredibly embarrassing, as they often come at the most inopportune times and can cost teams valuable points. One example is the own goal scored by Florida Panthers' Jason Garrison in a game against the Philadelphia Flyers. Garrison attempted to clear the puck out of the defensive zone, but instead sent it soaring into his own net, giving the Flyers the win. "I was trying to clear the puck and it just went off my stick and into the net," Garrison said after the game. "It's a tough one to swallow." One of the most embarrassing moments in recent NHL history occurred in the 2010 Stanley Cup Finals, when the Chicago Blackhawks faced off against the Philadelphia Flyers. In Game 6, the Blackhawks had a chance to close out the series and win the Stanley Cup on home ice. However, things didn't go according to plan. The Blackhawks took an early lead, but the Flyers fought back and tied the game at 2-2. The game remained tied through regulation and overtime, setting the stage for a shootout. The first 4 shooters all failed to score, setting the stage for Flyers forward Ville Lino. Lino skated in on the shootout attempt and appeared to have Blackhawks goaltender Antti Niemi beat, but he completely missed the net, causing the sellout crowd at the United Center to erupt in laughter. Lino's miss proved to be costly, as the Flyers went on to lose the game and the series. The Blackhawks won their first Stanley Cup in 49 years, while the Flyers were left to rue the missed opportunity. "I couldn't believe it when he missed," said Blackhawks captain Jonathan Toews. "I don't know what he was thinking, but it was a huge break for us." Lino's miss was widely seen as one of the most embarrassing moments in NHL history, and it was certainly a tough pill for him and the Flyers to swallow. However, it's important to remember that players and teams are human, and mistakes are a natural part of the sport. Lino and the Flyers may have been embarrassed in the moment, but they were able to learn from their experience and move on. Another embarrassing moment that sticks out in recent NHL history occurred during the 2015 Stanley Cup Finals, when the Tampa Bay Lightning faced off against the Chicago Blackhawks. In Game 2 of the series, Lightning forward Alex Killorn had a chance to tie the game in the final seconds, but he completely whiffed on the shot, sending the puck flying over the net. The Blackhawks went on to win the game and the Stanley Cup, while the Lightning were left to rue the missed opportunity. These are just a few examples of the most embarrassing moments in NHL history, from missed shootout attempts to own goals and other mistakes. The NHL has seen it all. But it's not just the players who have suffered embarrassing moments. Coaches and officials can also be the source of embarrassment, as they are just as human and prone to mistakes as anyone else. One example of this occurred during a game between the Colorado Avalanche and the Calgary Flames in 2006. With the game tied at 2-2 in the third period, Flames forward Jerome Ignalia appeared to score the goal ahead of goal. With the game tied at 2-2 in the third period, Flames forward Jerome Iginla appeared to score the go-ahead goal, but the goal was disallowed due to a controversial ruling by the officials. The Flames went on to lose the game in overtime, and the disputed goal became known as the no-goal game. The incident sparked outrage from amongst Flames fans and players, and it remains one of the most controversial and embarrassing moments in NHL history. These embarrassing moments are not just confined to the NHL, of course. Every sport has its fair share of mistakes and blunders that players and teams would rather forget. However, the fast-paced and high-stakes nature of hockey means that these moments can be particularly memorable and impactful. But it's not all bad. These embarrassing moments can also serve as valuable lessons for players and teams, as they can help identify weaknesses and areas for improvement. They can also bring teams closer, as players rally around each other and try to bounce back from difficult setbacks. So, the next time you see a player stumble and fall during a shootout attempt, or a team make a costly mistake, remember that these embarrassing moments are all part of the game. They may be tough to watch at times, but they also help make hockey the exciting and unpredictable sport that we all know and love.